where we bring you honest, unfiltered conversation with women who have done exceptional in their professional life or their personal life, and often both. And 2x Stories is a part of 2xtopia, which is a women-only community where women can express themselves freely online, learn from each other, and also meet each other in real life. Now, I would like to welcome our guest for 2x Stories today. Her name is Dr. Kiran Khanna, and she has over 2 decades of experience in academia, media, and brand strategy. She has worn many hats throughout her career. She has been a professor, a dean, a researcher, a journalist, and as of now, she is into entrepreneurship. She is the founder of Ada Stories, where she helps founders, professionals, and experts craft powerful narratives and build their own personal brands. So I would like to welcome Dr. Kiran Khanna here. Thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to know your insights about how you work. So, good afternoon.
First of all, thank you so much, Prachi, and thanks for making me part of your journey. So this is a wonderful initiative. I would say the initiative you have started to Extopia. My best wishes to you and your team, and I can see you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So I would like to talk to you with regards to your professional journey first. You have transitioned from academia to entrepreneurship. So how was that journey for you? What was the difficulty in shifting your mindset in this process?
So the day I decided that I need to leave academia and I want to work something new, I want to do something for women, those who want to work. There are girls, they are talented, but they can't leave their hometowns. So during this process, I realized, oh, yes, I think this is the call. I need to leave academia and I should start my own journey, my communication consultancy. And 2 years ago when I started it, then I realized, once you start something in enthusiasm and then you realize the ground reality. So academia was about more of a set pattern. So we used to have depth in academics. We used to think about it. We used to plan. We used to execute it. But in entrepreneurship, there is so much of uncertainty. There are no, hard and fast things. Ki ye hoga, it will happen. It won't happen. So that kind of uncertainty. So a person like me who is very systematic in life became part of that uncertainty. So that was a challenging thing for me. But, over a period of time, I realized, okay, I can, deal with it. So after 2 years, now I'm enjoying this journey, this uncertainty I'm enjoying this uncertainty also. And of course, whatever I wanted to do for, women in my life, that I'm able to do. So.
Okay. I'm really glad you took that shift. Not many people, keep shifting in their career like this. Most people get settled with whatever they start with. They think, okay, this is enough, I'm doing it. But you kept on, you liked the challenges, I guess. You loved that part.
So the day, I decided, and then when I told my team, okay, I'm resigning and, I don't want to continue with academia. And one of my colleagues, he said, ki ma'am, this is not a challenge you are going to accept. This is a mid-age crisis. So at this age, people generally think these things. Ki I'll do something else. But then after a few months, they realize, the decision was wrong. But it's been more than 2 years. I'm happy, and I stand by whatever I decided. Of course, academia keeps on calling me. So I keep on becoming part of some meetings, some lectures, some workshops, conferences that I keep on doing. So off and on those visits, those interactions, I really enjoy. But yes, so I'm keeping a balance now. I can see both sides. So I think now I'm able to give more inputs to people, those who are running these education system.
Okay, that's amazing. So how did the idea of Ada Story come into picture? Do you think it reflects your personal values?
Yes, of course. I was working in private education system, and the way private education system is working nowadays, all of us know there are organizations, they are into unethical practices. There are students, they are not really satisfied with the kind of skills, the kind of knowledge being imparted. So some kind of dissatisfaction was there in my mind also, in my heart also, that I want to do something which I'm unable to do in between all these responsibilities and in this system. So I wanted to challenge that system. I tried challenging, but somehow, an individual can't make so many changes. So when I thought about this communication consultancy, so that's also a long story. I used to teach advertising and marketing communication in my university and college job. So I thought that I'm doing it for, I was doing corporate consultancy also. So I think I should earn for myself. I should create job for women. So that thing came to my mind, and yes, I want to make it an ethical organization. So till now, it's been more than 2 years. I have not. I can't say that even a single individual can say this thing, that salary was struck, salary was delayed, or salary was deducted. Anyone was fired without notice. So keeping these things in mind, and secondly, the most important thing, because I wanted to make women part of my journey. So going back to my first thing, which from where I started, that I want to create livelihoods for women. There are girls, there are women, they have so much of talent, they have family responsibilities also. In 9 to 5, 9 to 6 jobs, they can't work. Ailing parents, younger siblings, they need to take care of their families also. So generally what I do, I give them this liberty. Unless there is something very urgent, I don't tell them to do it now, right away, or at this time. So we connect in the morning, and after that they are free to do their work whenever they want to do, unless it's very urgent. So what we do, we generally create our content, we do our work well in advance, so that there is no last minute hiccup. And so that's the way I wanted to provide them a comfortable environment where they learn and they grow. They should do hard work, they should be sincere, they should be systematic. But at the same point, they shouldn't have this pressure. They should have this fear. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't micromanage. As long as the work is done, it doesn't matter how long it takes, just get the work done. I think that is how it should be. Most bigger companies, I've realized, they forget this. They're always micromanaging, trying to get the most out of a person. And the more you micromanage, the more this person would start to hate you.
Yes. So the girl who joined with me day one, she is still with me. The first girl who joined with me, she is still with me.
Absolutely. Because when you feel that you're given a full ownership of what you do, obviously you will go above and beyond. And most companies don't get that. If you let your employees do what they want to do when they want, an off time, these are the same employees who would go above and beyond, work extra hours for you. You don't have to tell that, but
yes, and I keep on telling them. So if you don't agree with any of my idea, because when we have this creative discussion on various aspects, so I keep on telling them, if you don't agree with anything, you just straight away tell me, ma'am, no, this is not good, or we shouldn't do it. You are free to express yourselves. So that kind of liberty I give to my team.
That's how it should be. I mean, they're part of it. Their ideas should be heard.
Yes.
Now, whether the ideas are accepted or not, that is a different matter. But at least let them talk about it. Okay.
Yes.
That sounds like a really good professional environment. That's how people thrive. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So my next question for you is: a lot of the brands, they try to fit in current standards, but how can they do that without losing their voice? They want to do what everyone is doing, but at the same time, every brand is unique. So how can a brand tell this story without losing its voice?
Prachi, what happens? Generally, what happens? Brands, they don't lose their voice suddenly. The problem is that when they're not clear, what do they want? When there is no clarity, what they do, they are going by market trends, whatever their competitor is doing, they want to do that. Competitor is different, and you have your own strength. Competitor has his own strength or weaknesses. So when you're not clear, what do you want to do? What's your USP? What's your differentiation factor, which you can provide to your target audience, your target market? So that creates confusion, and that creates some confusion in brand voice also. So whatever you want to say it clearly, consistently. So every time your voice should be same. So this is the problem.
Understood. Okay. Now, you have worked as a professor, and now you have turned into entrepreneurship. And I think academia mostly has been female dominated, at least when it comes to lower education, not as much as higher education, as I can say. So have you ever felt that as a woman that you had to work differently, be it in your academic career or your current entrepreneurship career? Did you have to work differently just because you were a woman? Did you suffer some issues simply because you were a woman?
So Prachi, first of all, coming to your first point when you were saying that academia is full of women, it's female dominating. So first I'll talk about it. I worked in academia for more than 20 years. So most of the time, yes, there were 80-90% of women in the departments and 10% of males, though they were unable to survive with us. So my boss used to say, my women are so smart, they can't work with them. So they used to leave due to some or the other reason. Over a period of time, the most interesting thing that happened with me, when I was dean in a university, we had all women department, not even a single male. Whereas, in production, you require male. Generally, people think for camera uthane ke liye to there should be, one male member. So we were having all women department, and we were doing all shoot, everything we were doing. I had all women research committee. So we used to have a research committee for our PhD scholars. So all women from my department and from other departments also. So that committee used to be interdisciplinary. So all women in committee. Then yesterday, I was having a meeting with the university. As we were having some academic deliberation. Again, there were 6 women, not even a single male. So yes, I have worked with at many places in various departments where women are more. Having said that, the problem is the departments, the academic field is full of women, more women are there, but they are not on senior positions. When you talk about promotions, when you talk about leadership, top leadership, there are hardly any women. So that's the problem. So till middle management, there are women. But the moment it comes to, give positions on a senior level like principal or directors in colleges or pro-vice chancellor positions in universities, then there are lesser women. There are many reasons, like if I talk about myself. So today, if someone says me, okay, you leave your home early in the morning and return by night, and you are leading an organization, you are at the top of it, I won't accept it. Why? Because for me, I have family responsibilities. I would like to spend time with my kids. One reason, there are women, those who don't want to take such positions. Secondly, this is my experience. At some places, I really got those opportunities where I was able to express my mind. Whatever I wanted to say about, functioning, I wanted to give my inputs, I was, free to give. But then there were places where being a woman, it was very challenging to speak because you were snubbed. You are alone there to speak. No one is allowing, because you are not shouting. That also happened at various places. So now coming to your point, you have to prove. No, I don't think you have to prove. I think if you are showing up, you are doing your work diligently, you don't need to prove yourself again and again. Over a period of time, when you are consistent in your performance, of course, everybody has to perform, irrespective of their gender. Everybody has to perform uh, at workplace, at home also, I would say. But yes, that consistency, that showing up, that hard work, that sincerity, that pays off. So it's not about proving yourself, but just staying consistent with your work and that clarity of mind. What do I want in my life, in my career? And how, and what do I want? How should people see me? Do I want to be that goody goody lady? Oh, hello, how are you? So that sweet kind of lady who doesn't want to, express herself, or who doesn't want to put her foot down, or whatever is wrong, you are standing against it, uh, maybe alone. No one is supporting you, so that depends upon you. So sometimes there is an issue between that men and women, but at some places I think being a woman was never a disadvantage for me. Whatever I wanted to speak, I spoke. So my voice was so. And secondly, you should be heard. Now you should say in such a way that your voice should be heard. So that's most important. It's not about proving, it's about your clarity and how do you say and how do you perform. That's more important.
Got it. But I've realized that I'm glad that you didn't have to face as much discrimination. But I've realized
Yes.
that when women speak, a lot of the time we are very, submissive when we are talking, very sweet
Yes, yes.
and goody goody, like you said. And I think people don't take that seriously. And when we are more firm, we are called emotional. Even though man can be a bit more firm, a bit aggressive, nobody calls him emotional. Even though anger is just also an emotion. So this
Yes,
is
yes.
something I feel.
Yes, I'm recalling 2 or 3 incidents where, some disagreements happened in meetings with the male members, or I thought, oh, why they are saying this thing to me, and after meeting I cried. That happened, and I can recall 3 4 incidents, and generally I think men, they don't feel that way, they don't cry that way. And I couldn't control myself, and someone asked, what happened, why are you feeling so sad? And I just started crying. So that happens. But again, Prachi, I would say in my experiences, I got all the respect. A person who is doing good work, he or she should get. I got that kind of respect from my male bosses, my male colleagues also. So I think I was lucky that way. But yes, when you put your foot down, then of course at the there are people, they say कि यार ये तो मतलब she doesn't listen to anyone, or some tags, you get some tags in positive way, some negative way, you get that, jailer, Hitler, Jhansi ki Rani, and all those tags you get. But at the end of the day, I think you should be clear. You need to draw your boundaries. Okay, if I need to stand for something, I will, irrespective of the fact whether someone is supporting me, my males, men of your organization, they are helping you or not. Secondly, which you were saying, that there are women, they are called emotional, and they are not considered really very good when they put their foot down, or when they want to speak. I think that's something which come from families also. Maybe I was lucky in that way. I come from a family where I had full liberty to decide my career, to decide whatever I wanted to do in my life, my education, my career, and doing the job, leaving the job, resigning, and whatever I wanted to do. So at my parents' place, also my father is a doctor. He's very liberal that way. My brothers, generally, brothers are there to say, oh, sister, younger sister, she shouldn't do it. Oh, she is not supposed to do it. So I never heard this from my brothers. They always supported whatever I wanted to do. And now again, I have my husband is supportive and I left my job. So there are people, they ask me what was his reaction when you said that, okay, I want to leave the job. And he was the one who pushed me. He was the one who persuaded me, if you're not happy, you should leave it. Whatever you want to do in life, you should do. And same with today, I was discussing something with my sons in the morning. So then I was thinking, I think they are also my best friends. There are so many things which I think now I can discuss with them. I can, speak out my mind. So I think again, it's investment on your relations also. How do you invest in your relations? These things don't come suddenly. The kind of trust you have to build up in your family, that's very, very important. And I think, yes, that's very important. That's very challenging for women. But I think an average woman who is I would say she needs to be very intellectual, she needs to be very intelligent, but I think an average woman can do it.
Yeah, okay, that's good, that's good. There's this Hindi saying, I'm going to translate it into English, that behind every successful man is a woman. That's what they say. And often this woman doesn't have a career of her own. She is behind him doing all the other work for him to make him successful. In your case, I have realized that behind this successful woman is a deeply secure and amazing man. Like, be it your father, be it your husband, and your children, even though they're young. So yeah,
yes,
a support is necessary for women. So this a group, like a society that has men who are secure in themselves, is how a society grows for its women. So yeah, that's how it is.
Okay. Yes. I still can recall the day my PhD viva was supposed to happen and it was getting delayed. And my father-in-law, he used to say, when people ask me about you, about your PhD, and what do you do, I really feel proud of this thing. When people ask, I feel proud of this thing. They go, my daughter-in-law, she has submitted her PhD. She is working at such a nice place, and she is so successful in her career. So I always feel proud. I don't forget that thing. That I generally tell my friends, oh, my daughter-in-law, she has done PhD. so that kind of things, you get these small delights, small happiness in your life, and you always remember those things, those conversations you remember.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that you have so many good people in your circle who help you grow. So, yeah.
And my bosses also, I would say, my bosses, my male bosses, if I start from my initial years of career, 1999, when I started working with All India Radio, my station director, Mr. Vinod Mehta, he was an experienced broadcaster. So he used to train us. Till now, I'm in touch with him. My editor, when I started my career as journalist, so Hari Mohanji, I still recall, and it's been more than 25 years, but we still talk because they are the people, those who polished, those who they groomed me. Whatever I am today, it's because it's not only my family. It's about my bosses also, my supervisors, so those who supported me, who helped me. My director in my job in gyms, Dr. Ravi Kedhar. So he was my mentor. So whatever research I'm doing, whatever good work I'm doing, so he helped me a lot in giving clarity and shaping. And I used to lean in on my colleagues during low times. So every day is not a good day. You feel low someday. So then also, I think there are so many people, those who supported and helped me.
Okay. So all these people, they helped you, they groomed you, they supported you, and I'm glad that you're bringing the same thing to other women who didn't have access to such mentors, such support, and you're giving that support to those women. So I am really thankful for that, for bringing that platform to these women. Okay. Now, I would like to ask you another question. How do you think platforms today can protect women from misinformation, trolling, deepfakes, and harassment?
Prachi, right now, I'm working on a research paper also on misinformation, disinformation, and how these platforms these platforms are designed in such a way that they just amplify the information, and most of the time it's fake news, it's misinformation. Whatever negative is happening, that's being amplified. So if someone complains, they do take action. So they are reactive in nature. I think the design of the platform should be such that if there is any manipulation happening, if there is any fake news, it should the action should be taken at initial stage. Once the message has been amplified, it becomes very difficult to delete it, or somewhere or other it will exist. And for women also, I think in this age of deep fakes, it's very difficult, one, to protect your identity. Second, I would say, when you are saying something, if your viewpoint is contrarian on social media, there are hundreds of people, they are going to troll you. And at times I think we can't take that. There are people, they are like, okay, how does it matter? But then there are people like, there are many women, those who can't take it. Either they leave the social media, or they just they become prone to anxiety, depression, and all these things. So I think for these safe spaces, social media platforms need to be designed in such way that there is a place of pluralistic voices. Women should feel safe. They should feel safe. Platform shouldn't be reactive. It should be proactive in taking action if something is happening on their platform.
Okay. Now, as you know that I am building Toextopia, a women-only community for women to express themselves freely on the internet. Do you think in today's world a space like this is needed? And in your opinion, what would make it more impactful?
Of course, this is a very good initiative, Prachi. I would say you thought about it, and yes, such spaces are required. Now, people like us, those who have come from who had background, and we have worked at places where there were so many men, we don't feel shy of anything while expressing ourselves, be it on social media or be it in offline public sphere. But yes, there are women, those who don't come from such open societies, and they feel shy, and they don't they're unable to express themselves in front of others. So such spaces where there are only women, because we have a group, my company group, WhatsApp group, where there are all women. So whenever they want to say anything, they express themselves freely, okay, because there are all women. So when we used to have 2-3 men around us, the expression was not that kind of free. The kind of free expression they had when there are only women. So yes, that creates difference, and that I would say that uninhibited expression, that is possible with the women-only spaces, and that's a great initiative, and we need more such initiatives.
Thank you so much. As even though I'm building this community as an online thing, I also do some offline meetups for women, and I realized the last time I did this, I realized women were more comfortable expressing themselves when they are surrounded by other women. And I'm not saying that
Yes.
men are bad, it's just that there is a comfort when it's a fellow woman.
Yes.
Like if you're, let's say you're outside, you see a strange woman, you'll always feel more comfortable telling her anything. You can't say the
Of
same
course.
thing about an unknown stranger man. So that is what
Yes.
I want from
Yes.
2X. That I want women to actually come together, build a community, and be part of it, and grow together. That is what I want.
Yes.
Grow together.
Yes, of course. That's really great.
Thank you. Now, as someone who has had so much experience in her life, personal and professional, what advice would you like to give younger women who are starting their journey today?
Prachi, I would say each and every woman should be financially independent. So from day one, this should be in her mind that I should be financially independent. Um, you know, the the kind of communities we have in particularly North India, parents think that okay, the girl has passed class 10th, the girl has passed BA, now she should get married. We are getting her married in a business family, she doesn't need to earn, so it doesn't require. But throughout my life I have seen businesses fail. During corona times also, we have, all of us, we have seen this thing. And keeping future in mind, this is important, one. Secondly, it gives you more respect. When you are economically independent, it gives you more respect. That's also important. Third, the kind of, when we talk about Maslow's hierarchy model, the basic need models. So there are physiological needs, there are basic needs, then you go to that self-esteem. That is also possible only when you all these needs are satisfied, and money is also one of the need, respect is also one of the needs. So this is important, but then having said that, they should be clear. What do they want to do in their lives? What are their priorities? Priorities keep on changing throughout our lives at different stages of life. So when I was a student, education was my priority. No. Today my priorities are different. When I was in the initial years of my career, completing PhD, getting promotions in my career, that was my priority. Now my priorities are different. So these keep on changing, but you should draw your boundaries. What do you want in your life? That is very, very important. And there is so much confusion, I would say. There are, because I deal with my girl students also. Most of them, they are in touch with me. In the last 20 years, I have taught thousands of students. So when I talk to them, I see a confusion. They got good jobs, earning very well, married with their choice. Now, after that, there is a confusion. I need a baby or I don't need. If I need a baby, do I need to leave my job? So much of confusion is there. They can't decide what's my priority. So I think decide, that is very, very important. And no one can else do this for you. You'll have to decide what do you want in your life. So that's very important. Family and society supports you only if you are clear in your mind. If you are confused, no one is going to help you. No one will support you. Today you are saying something, I need this. Tomorrow you are saying, okay, I want to become this, I want to do this. No, it should be clear to you. And for that, the kind of mentorship is required. That's very, very important. I think there is one thing which we are missing in this entire system, is that kind of mentorship for young girls or newly married girls or girls, those who are in their early career stage. So that one thing is very, very required.
Agreed. Even I agree with that. Like, a woman should have a career, doesn't matter how less you earn, it doesn't matter. As long as you earn enough to survive, every woman should have a career before she gets married. It should never be. It should never be like I will begin my career after I get married. Life will always come into the way. You should. I've seen a lot of women doing higher education and then they end up getting married because they think their education is gonna take some time, so might as well get married. But I don't think most women are able to catch up after getting married. So it's better to have a career beforehand. So it's easy to maintain after.
Yes, I was university topper in my post-graduation. My mother is a housewife. And, getting top position in academics is a challenge and you have to work day and night. And one fine day, my mother started asking me, okay, what do you want to do after this? And I was like, I don't know whether I want to work or not. So 21 years old, Kiran was not clear what does she want, means what did she want to do in her life. And my mom was like, you have put so much of efforts for this medal, for this merit, and today you are saying, I don't know. So I would say, today you don't need money because, okay, we are there. But tomorrow you may require. So you should work after your post graduation, not for money, but for that kind of experience which will help you in future. So when I went for my first job for interview, when I went for that interview, first two jobs I would say, my brother was the one who said, Kiran, don't ask for money. Don't ask how much money will you get. Someone is giving you a job because you will learn something there. You'll get an experience. So someone is training you. You don't ask for money. And I started working. I worked for a while, for 2-3 years. I worked. I left. I was working with All India Radio. And after my marriage, I realized, okay, what should I do? My husband leaves early in the morning. He returns at night. What should I do all day? So means I have studied so much. Why shouldn't I join back? I joined back, and then after that, I was with PhD and everything, and there was all support. So yes, of course, at one point of time, you may not be clear, but then that kind of mentorship which I was saying, that is required to give you clarity. What do you want? So at one point of time, I think I had offers to work for an advertisement, like modeling offers and all these things. So again, there was so much of confusion whether I want to join teaching or I want to be this. So my brother asked me, what do you want to do? You want to be a model or you want to be a teacher? So, and at that point, someone like me couldn't be both. So that a different kind of persona. These are two different kind of personas. So that was the day I decided, no, I just want to be a teacher. I'll join teaching. So these, small nudges, these nudges are required in our life. If there are people there to nudge you, you get, better career.
Absolutely. But you had, see, even if you were a bit confused in your earlier times, you still had a good support, be it before your marriage or after your marriage. But I think most women are not as privileged as you. So I do think that they need to figure out what they want to do with regards to their career before they get married. Because if you don't, your career will always take a back seat, because often in India, women marry older men who are older than them. Now how older doesn't matter, but you will marry an older settled man. Obviously, his career would be a priority, and that's why women are not able to find a footing of their own. So it's better to find something before you get married, because not everyone is going to be as lucky as that their husband would let them do what they want to do. So and even they themselves would feel that my husband is earning more, his career is more important. So that's what they feel logically.
So yes, that's you're absolutely right when you're saying this thing. So when I joined after marriage, I had an experience of teaching. I had experience of working with newspaper. I had experience of working with All India Radio. Because I had that experience, so when I thought, okay, I should work, I got the job. So it was easier for me to, get back into workforce.
Yeah. Okay. Now I would like to end this with something slightly reflective. Do you ever feel that there's a pressure today to focus more on being visible rather than doing actual meaningful work? And how do you deal with it personally?
Yes, that's very interesting. Nowadays, when I talk to my team, when I speak to girls, those who want to establish themselves as content creators or, in any other domain, for them it seems that visibility is important. But I think if you are doing good work, you will definitely get visibility. Visibility is not so important. If you are doing meaningful work, you will be visible.
Yeah.
So it's the other way around. If you are doing meaningful work, you will be visible. So visibility is momentary. It's, it will fade away. if your work doesn't add value to someone or to for something, to some organization or something else, visibility will fade away. So you should focus on meaningful work. Visibility will automatically come.
Okay, so it's the other way around.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your insights with us. I learned a lot. I was really inspired by all of that. You are an example of a woman who said, "I can do it all," and then she did it all, and then some more. So yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Really grateful to have you here. And to those of you who are listening to this 2X Stories, we'll be bringing many such conversations with incredible women like Dr. Kiran Khanna here. Please stay tuned and check it out. And if you all believe in a safer online space for women, do check out 2X Story. So thank you so much.
Thanks for making me part of this journey of 2Xtopia. I'm really delighted, and I really appreciate your initiative. My best wishes to you and your initiative. All the best, Prachi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.